As a landowner in central Portugal, one of my greatest concerns is wildfires. Today we'll be taking a look at a beautiful homestead that was tragically devastated by the wildfires that swept across Portugal this summer. The property we are looking at today belongs to Pat and Cristiana, a couple who travelled all the way from the United States to buy this beautiful homestead. Just 1 week after they returned back home, their dream was shattered when a massive wildfire destroyed their new property. We visit the property in this video to survey the damage with a full walking tour. I just want to say a heartfelt thanks to Pat and Cristiana for hiring me to create this video and for allowing me to share their story with all of you on YouTube. It's crucial for anyone considering buying a property here to understand the risks, especially in rural areas where wildfires can pose a significant threat. Hi Pat and Cristiana, it's Ken from OK Portugal. I just want to say a big thanks for hiring me to come out here today and have a look at your property. So when I first arrived, looking around here, I thought, you know what, it doesn't look too bad. You know, none of the trees here seem to be burnt or anything like that. The actual entrance here seems pretty good. Now, since I arrived, I have just had a brief walk around just to orientate myself. And it's a really beautiful property. I can totally understand why you bought this place. I mean, the views are just next level. Now, this whole track in front of us is completely untouched. So I can't see any traces of fire along here. And as we go around the corner, this is your little sort of dirt track that goes to your property. We can also see around here, it's pretty much unscathed. So I'm going to go around all of the different areas that you were speaking about and give you some good images of those. Obviously get the drone up and show you exactly what's going on. So this is the entrance to the property. Jean has just parked the car over here. So obviously you guys know that this is your house and all of the space around it. This is a public track. And we can actually see a little bit of fire damage where the fire's creeped up to about there. So we're going to go through and have a look. Now let me just jump over this little chained area. Now this is an awesome house, I must say. As you pull up to it, you can see it's got tons of potential, and we've got some infrastructure around it that hasn't been affected. Obviously all of this side here totally unaffected by the fire, all of this side here totally unaffected. As we go around the corner here, we can actually see exactly why you bought this property. These views are just next level and something else. Absolutely incredible. Now before we get to those views, we can see already we've got some burnt areas. I just want to show you what the house looks like from this side. So absolutely no fire damage on this side. We also have these beautiful hazelnut trees up here. Absolutely no fire damage on those, all looking good. And as we come around the outside of the house with the wooden shutters and everything, no fire damage. The fire hasn't come up here. You're probably thinking, Ken, you're being a bit, over dramatic here. The fire wasn't that close, was it? Well, yes, it was. So from up here now, we can see the vineyards. And these vineyards have been completely destroyed, all the way back to the stone buildings there. There's a tiny little patch over here of vines. But yeah, the entire vineyard, it seems to have burnt all the way up. And miraculously, it hasn't affected the house. And look at this, we actually had fire come all the way up, like touching the actual stonework and everything. So right up to the house, right up to these plants over here, right up to these wooden shutters that are completely unaffected, which is really amazing. The nice big trees in the background, completely unaffected. But down here, it looks like there were some large trees and stumps and things like that. And obviously these have all been completely burnt. It looks like maybe someone's been firefighting on there and smashing them up to try and get rid of the coals and the burning and stuff. So yeah, so the limit of your property is sort of this area here, and it goes up. So this whole row here, basically everything on the property here seems to have burnt, apart from a couple of trees, 1 or 2 trees just in that direction. And we can see on the neighboring land just over there, that white house over there and all of the greenery. This is the neighboring land. So I'm not sure if it was the road that was a good fire break or if they were putting down water or something. But it seems that your place was the worst hit from what I can see here. I'm not sure if perhaps it was quite overgrown while it was abandoned for a while. But let's look at the damage over here. So we can see the flames and the heat was burning this bush over here, which is basically right next to your house, right next to these wooden shutters and things. And yeah, it didn't manage to take hold. And the flames were obviously all the way up to here. There's charred ground all the way here, right up to the building. Unreal. So the house had a pretty close call, but from what I can see of the house, it's a you know, a block brick cement house. It doesn't seem to have any wood in it apart from the wooden shutters, and that's going to be why it was unaffected. And then in the background here, everything over on this side also looks okay. And it's kind of the limit of the property. So you have a few trees that were spared here, and then obviously this whole section again of vineyard. This is all burnt. Okay, so I think I'm going to head on down this track here to show you the rest of the damage. Jean has decided to sit in the sun on your patio. She says that you have, well, an incredible view.
It's amazing. Even if it's been damaged, it's amazing still. And
you know what? This view is not going to, it still looks amazing, and everything's going to green up pretty quickly. So don't be too disheartened just yet.
You can already see it greening up when we've just walked down there.
Yeah, exactly. So on the front of the porch of the patio, we can see we've got like a citrus tree over here, either I think it's a lemon tree, an orange tree, perhaps. And then again, these hazelnut trees completely unaffected. You've got a lot of nuts over here. Look at that. Wow. And let's just head on down the track here. This is your driveway track. That takes you to the other areas of the farm. And now we can see a little bit better what this vineyard's looking like. So, to be honest with you, the vineyard is gone. I mean, Gina's saying maybe some of them are going to grow back. I think when they've been burnt this badly, I can't imagine that they're going to grow back. But it looks like you're going to have to replant the vineyard, or you're going to have to repurpose this area. From the house, it's so nice to be up there and to look down, I can imagine, on a beautiful green vineyard. So perhaps that's something that has to be replanted here. And as we head down this track, we can see what a difference it makes. This is obviously was all nice and cut and kept. And we obviously had big flames all the way here, and it didn't jump across. So this neighboring piece here seems to be completely unaffected. And I'm not sure, perhaps they were spraying water or something like that. But by the looks of it on this side here, where we've got vines and we've got pine trees growing indiscriminately between the vines, it looks like perhaps this was sort of left and overgrown, which is why the fire seems to have spread so quickly through it. For the viewers watching at home, Pat and Cristiana bought this property just 1 week before this fire happened. It was overgrown in parts, but they were about to get it all cleared right before this disaster struck. Right, so we are now heading down towards the barns and the storage buildings and things like that. So let's have a look at how much they've been damaged. And from this side I can see they are relatively unaffected. It looks like all of this has been recently cut back. I'm not sure if this was cut back during the fire. It looks like it was cut back before the fire, in all honesty, but this was obviously all brambles. And you can see all of this side unaffected, but we can see from the top where the roof is collapsed in, we've got a whole bunch of trees and brambles and things growing in there, and those do look like they were burnt. So there is some sort of fire damage going on inside here. But yeah, it's all completely overgrown. And as we walk down, I'm just turning back to look up in the direction of the house here, so you can see what the vineyards look like. And yeah, I mean, again, I think there's very little hope of these vines growing back. Also, all of these trees where you can see they've burnt and the pine needles have turned completely orange, even though the trees didn't burn, I'm not hopeful that these trees are going to survive. Perhaps the ones that have got a little bit of greenery left still on the top. So we've just walked down this section here. This is what the front of the barns look like. Again, I'm not sure if someone did actually come here with a strimmer and actually cut all of this. It looks like this was cut before the fire, because I'm not seeing it being burnt. And we've got nice big open areas here that aren't burnt. And then again, we have another section of vineyard that is just completely decimated. If we walk through here, the fire jumped over the road. It didn't get this pomegranate tree, So that's still going. This tree definitely needs a bit of pruning and help. But it seems to have burnt all of the stuff on this side here, and yeah, let's go and have a look inside. So the fire definitely spread through the grasses here, made its way up to the buildings over here. On the ground here, it's obviously spread and then got inside and then started burning brambles and things. In actual fact, it's probably good that it's burnt this bramble, because it's actually cleared that from inside of this building, whereas now you've got to try and sort this out. What's this, some kind of area for chickens? And then we've got the fire obviously spreading all the way up through here. And let's see if it made it inside this barn. And it did. So on the ground we can see we've got big ashes in here. I mean, look at that. This whole area was burning all the way throughout. And actually this really highlights the importance of not using wood in the roof of these buildings, because there's so many places I've seen that have wooden roofs, and then when this happens the wood goes and you just have smashed tiles, a collapsed roof, and a real disaster. But thankfully that roof is still intact because it has concrete beams. And then panning over to this side over here, we can see the fire also made its way up, but it hasn't seemed to have taken hold on anything. We've got those cement roofs again, and nothing inside seems to have been affected. And this is another look at this whole livestock area. Right, so the next area we're going to look at is the stone cottage. And well, because it's made out of stone, it's fared very well. And just a short walk from where we've been, as we come down to where the stone cottage is over here, we can see how the fire has affected these trees. This is a big old olive tree here. I'm not sure. I think this olive tree could actually make it. It doesn't look too badly affected here on the bottom. This tree over here could potentially make it. But along here we can see this whole area was completely covered in brambles. And those have obviously all burnt back. So this is inaccessible here because of these thorny brambles. But let's just get around this building over here, show you from the front exactly what it looks like. So we had lots of fire around here. Obviously the fire was spreading from this entire area, which would have been burning with ferocity, and obviously having a lot of brambles on the outside. And so this would have been very hot. And yet, look, stone building, nothing's wrong with it. Nothing's wrong with the roof, nothing's wrong with the walls. A little bit of soot on the walls, but other than that, this building's still going strong. The olive tree over here looks decimated. And this sort of area here, this terrace, again, is also all burnt. Now the limits of the property extend just past where this tree is. So just past the tree and then run down in a straight line. And what we have in front of us here is what you named the stone foundations. And yeah, these are huge. I have no idea what these would have been for. But wow, those are massive, massive areas. So being stone, I imagine that these were completely unaffected, apart from the flames obviously marking up the walls a little bit. But I don't think that you're going to have any damage. On the inside of these, there's a lot of brush and stuff to burn and stuff like that. So all of that's been burnt back. It's probably cleared them out quite nicely for you. Again, I'm trying to be positive here while we're looking at a nightmare situation, but the plus side is obviously it's cleared out a lot of the brush from inside here. So let's walk around a little bit, try and see if we can get a bit more angles on this. I mean, I'm not seeing any damage on the side of this thing because, cement blocks. It all seems to be okay. Let's just go around the corner here, because now we can actually see inside from the ground level, and we can see through the windows. Oh, and this fire it was everywhere. Look at that. So yeah, there's pretty much nothing you can do when you have all of this plant matter and you have a big fire going. Look, there were even big trees inside here. So this is the one, and the other one is just off in this direction over here. I can imagine how heartbreaking this must be. I mean, I believe from your email you said that you bought this place, went back home, to the States, and within a week suddenly this fire happened. And I can imagine when you looked at this a week ago or a week before the fire, it must have looked incredible and green and lush and beautiful, and now you're confronted with this. And yeah, I feel really bad for you guys, man. Sure. So this is the other building on this side. I'm not sure, is this like a livestock building for like cows or something? But I don't even know how you get cows in here. It's probably not for cows. Oh look, the entrance is too small. It's going to be for like smaller animals, and this is some kind of slurry troughs or something. But yeah, I mean the actual structure seems pretty sound. So while we're up here on this section, I just want to go to the well. Now you did mention that your father-in-law already investigated the well for you and told you what the damage was, but I mean I'm also interested to have a look. I didn't actually look at that while I quickly went around before shooting this video. And the well's just up here. There's quite a lot of brambles and burnt vineyards and things to navigate before I can get to it. And while I walk up here, I again just want to try and give you some positivity and some glimmer of hope here, because you know what I'm actually looking at here is an area like this vineyard. This can actually be replaced. It won't take very long, and also this ground right now is very fertile. You know, it may look completely charred and everything, but look what's happening already. Look at these little things coming up. This is very fertile. After a burn, ground is incredibly fertile, and you'll see lots of grasses and things all starting to appear. The actual charcoal itself, the soot and the charcoal and the potash, is a really good fertilizer, so the land itself is actually going to be really good in a couple of years. Okay, so this is the well. I'm not sure if this is what this looked like before the fire. It looks like maybe someone's pushed. It looks like it's been pushed for whatever reason. There's the water. Wow, you've got a very high water level, so that's good news. I'm not sure if maybe people were firefighting and they pushed this so they could get a hose in, or what the story is. But you know, we've got some damage. This is the pump house over here. This is some kind of a pipe that was probably connected to the pump in there that's all melted and burnt. You know, we can actually see the hardware of it up there. And if we look on this post over here, this will be where the electricity cable was. That's been melted off. So, yeah. And then looking under there, I'm not sure what I'm looking at. It looks like a sink or something. But I think probably your father-in-law has put some stuff over there. That's maybe where the pump is. So I'm just looking up behind the pump. We've got the house in the background there, just to give you like views of what it all looks like. Looking back in this direction over here, we've got the barns and the livestock buildings. We've got the stone cottage, and we've got these big concrete foundation buildings. And then looking over here, we can see that this was very heavily overgrown. Even though there was a vineyard going through it, it was very thick and forested, and that's why this is burnt with such severity. Okay, so I'm just going to get back on track so we can do this sort of logically, so you understand where I am, and give you some more views. So we're going again past these concrete foundation buildings. Now we can see the sort of limits of the land, the edge of the land. There is like a bit of a boundary where it drops off, and there's a bit of a limit, and then the land extends further on from that. And from here we can actually see, we can really see how the fire was burning here with a lot of heat. Sure. That is quite something. You know, amongst all of the charcoal and all of the burnt trees and things like that, I am just still looking out over this beautiful landscape. I mean, this place is absolutely stunning. And although right now it may look like this, standing up on your patio and looking out over the whole land is beautiful. And it's going to take a year until the ground no longer looks black. All of the greenery comes up and things start to grow again. And you'll find out which trees are going to survive, and there is definitely hope. And I don't want you guys to feel completely discouraged. I know that this doesn't look like what you bought. I have no idea what it looked like when you bought it, but I can imagine it looks different. But now you've got a new slate. You've got a clean slate, a new beginning, and you really do have a stunning property. So we've walked up this track. Just off this track here is a little road. This is the road that goes through your property, and then your land obviously extends further. And we can see obviously on the other side of this road it's all burnt still. And we can see into this forested section over here that all of these trees also look completely burnt. These ones are actually still quite brown, so I think the leaves have come off these, but I think these might actually be okay. And I think that these over here are some type of willow, so I think those are going to grow back nicely in the spring. And this is where we turn and we can get to where this public track is, and we can cross over to get to the other side of your land that you can see on the map. And yeah, again, we can see the fire spread through here. It actually did affect the neighbor's land. Look, we can see it's gone through there. It's gone all the way up through here. The house is in that direction. You were mentioning that there are some hazelnut trees over here. And, well, I mean, these are oak trees. I can see sort of acorns and things. But I can't see any hazelnut trees. I did actually walk up here earlier, and I couldn't see the hazelnuts. But we've got some olive trees over there. Those did survive. We've got a couple of pines that have survived. And if we look in this direction here, going back towards the house, we have some pines that look very good. They've got a lot of green on there, well, on them still. So potentially those trees are going to be okay. All right, so let's cross this public track and go through to where the next house is on the land. This is very thick and overgrown. I'm actually surprised that this didn't burn worse than what it has. This actually looks like there was some kind of another vineyard or like a fruit grove or something here. I'm not sure. But we can see they've put up big concrete posts. The concrete posts have obviously survived, but obviously the vines and everything underneath haven't. But this looks like it was very neglected and sort of overgrown. So I don't think there would have been very good vines here, to be honest. As we go along this track, this is the limit wall on the left-hand side, so this doesn't belong to the property. This extends all the way to the end there, which I believe is the limit of the property. And now we can see a little bit better that vineyard I was talking about. None of the trees, none of the big pines here look like they're going to survive. They all look like they've completely burnt out, unfortunately. But that opens you up for other possibilities, for other things to grow. There's some fast-growing species that you can plant, and you can plant them in a safer way where there aren't such a fire risk that close to a building. It's really tough to see stuff like this, you know. My dream of obviously moving to Portugal and buying a farm, this has been like my worst nightmare, and I've been so lucky, you know, for 5 years. Nearly came very close to actually having our farm burn only a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And yeah, I can only imagine what this must feel like for you guys to be watching this video right now after you've just bought this place. So we're approaching the next house. On the left we have a little carport area. It seems to be unaffected. It's all metal, obviously. Metal with a fiber cement roof. This big beautiful umbrella pine over here, this looks like it's been completely devastated. And all of the ones sort of in the background here, these are all burnt out. The trees around here are all burnt out. Miraculously, the fire's made its way all the way up to the walls of the building. Look, burning all the way up here, and the roof didn't burn. So really, really lucky. But I mean, this roof isn't exactly in the best condition, so obviously this house would have needed a full remodel. But just look how close the fire came. And this is looking back over the area where we've just walked through. And this is going to be your concrete post that has the electricity cable on. That's all burnt. And then, yeah, I mean, this area of the land got completely hit, which is a real shame. Sure. So we're going to head down here in a bit to those other areas. But let's just have a look at this house from this side here. So this is an old house that obviously you would have had plans to remodel and stuff. On the plus side, all of the brambles and brush and everything have now been cleared and cleaned. So, you know, and the house itself actually looks unaffected. So I guess that's one way of looking at it. I always try and stay as positive as possible when things are going wrong. Yeah, excuse me if I'm sounding too positive about it. And yeah, we can see from this side, I'm not sure. I think perhaps the only damage you've got is where some of these stones have fallen from this wall over here. And that appears to be the only damage that this fire has caused to this building. And looking at the back part of the building again, we don't seem to have any damage. We've got a couple of little stones and things that look like they've fallen from just the heat and the flames licking up against the walls here. But other than that, we seem to be okay on this side. So I'm standing in front of this house now, and I'm looking down towards the view in front, and we can see the fire obviously spread through all of it. Now I'm going to take you up to this section here next. That's the area that has the bee shelter that you asked me to film around. And while we walk down there, just look at this. Look at how nature is just fighting its way back. And already we've got all these beautiful green shoots coming through. And soon, this is not going to be black anymore. I've always been amazed at just how quickly everything grows back. It's crazy. I mean, the only thing that doesn't grow back fast, obviously, are trees. But there are some varieties of trees that you can plant here that do grow pretty quickly. All right, so as we walk our way up here, we can see the land is split into different terraces. Judging by how much vegetation's here, I'm not even sure if you knew that those terraces were there when you bought this place. Here's looking back over this house. That is going to be an amazing house once you fix it up. And now walking towards the bee shelter. I hope there weren't any beehives here when this went up. It doesn't look like there were, so that's good. But yeah, the bee shelter is still intact. It's metal and fiber cement, so that's all good. Unfortunately, all the trees surrounding the bee shelter, all of these big trees, in fact all of the pines, as I pan the camera around here, and the oak tree and everything, these look as if they've been badly affected. This oak tree might surprise us because the trunk's actually looking all right, just the leaves are burnt. Let's hope that that one's good. And now looking back down and over the terraces here at the bottom, this all looks like it was broom. So this is all broom. You haven't really lost any vegetation here apart from sort of weeds. And you may have wanted to come and cut these down anyway. All right, so I need to find a way of getting down there, because this nice big green area here, this is definitely where the water is. This is definitely where the spring is. I just can't seem to see a way that I can get down there. So yeah, I'm just going to try a little bit of climbing. Okay, cool. So we've got a little bit of a climb, and now we've come down to the spring. We can see these are the roots of that oak tree that I think potentially will be okay. And then we've got water that trickles out of the side of the mountain here and into this little catchment area. And it's actually quite a nice little flowing spring. It's really nice. You know, we're at the end of summer, we're at the beginning of autumn, and we've got some nice running water going through here. I mean, just look at how green it is. It's not going to take long until this whole area greens up, because it's going to have tons of water like this. This in the winter, this in the spring is going to be amazing. This is probably going to grow back faster than everywhere else. So I'm just having to come up and around because I couldn't quite get to this lower terrace from where I was at the spring due to the brambles. But I must say, just as I'm walking around here, this is such a beautiful bit of land. Even with this fire damage, there is so much potential here. I can totally see why you guys bought this. I mean, this is going to make the most incredible homestead with numerous houses on, and I can still see it being a very viable project. So let's walk down this little track. That house is just in the background of us, and we're just going downhill. We can see this was a lot of broom, which kind of grows here like a weed, and it burns really well, as you can see. So this would have whipped up the flames and caused a lot of this fire. Now the limits of the land aren't particularly clear, so I'm going to have to try and figure it out when I get down here. I haven't actually walked down here yet. I just did that first top section when I first arrived, just to orientate, and this is all new to me now. Oh, we got wild boar footprints all over the place. So we still have boars coming in here in the last week. Beautiful bit of land for it. And let me just swing the camera back around. This is now, we're looking, this green area here, this is where the spring is running down and where that spring was. And this entire terrace, this is obviously part of the property that then stretches back down to, well, kind of where this ruin is over here, if you can see that, and then juts out in this direction. And so I'm going to walk down there now, and I'm going to give you some views of what that bottom piece of the land looks like. You know, coming through here before the fire would have actually been impossible on foot. I mean, maybe they would have had like a little track or something to get you down here, but I mean, this is thick with vegetation, so Yeah. There appears to be some sort of concrete posts here that were supporting something. I'm guessing they had some fruit trees or something growing along here. In fact, these look like the fruit trees in the background, and they all look pretty badly burnt. And directly in front of that, overlooking the views, we can see the limits of the property, which is this sort of cliff edge here hanging off, and we can see how the neighbouring land just below it as well, also completely burnt up by this fire. We can actually see how the fire spread all the way out to there. And when we look at these distant hills in the background, all of these hills would have been on fire and in flames. This was a really devastating fire. So I think I found the limits of the property, this wall over here. So we've obviously come down in this direction, and now we're on this cliff edge, and then the wall goes all the way down and out. And I think this actually takes us out to what you were calling the fire track at the end of the road. So there's like a fire track like between the trees there. And so this whole section of the property, I'm not sure how I'm going to access this, because this is just a steep cliff running all the way down there. I can't seem to find a way down, so we don't have any more infrastructure down there, no more buildings or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly the drone over this section, because I can't access it, and it's going to show you exactly what some of the damage looks like on all the different areas and the trees and things like that. Phew, I'm out of breath.
Yeah, I can tell.
This is like the third time I've walked up and down the hill. But anyway, what a beautiful place.
That's amazing. I've been sat on the patio doing some drawing, and just the bird song and the view and I know it's probably disheartening for you.
Just watch we don't step off the side here. Yeah.
Seeing all the burn damage and stuff, but it is truly an amazing place.
It sure is.
Yeah.
And I can see how this house is going to be incredible. I'm not sure what your plans are for like the other buildings and stuff, but you do have a beautiful homestead here.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's not going to take long.
It'll come back, yeah.
Nature finds a way, hey?
Nature fights back every time.
Every single time, yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for hiring us to have a walk around here. I've really enjoyed it. I've really needed the exercise as well. I've had a really good workout.
And I've enjoyed just sitting on the patio, just looking at the view and drawing.
Yeah. So although this video has been tough to make and probably tough to watch, I hope you have, I hope it's given you everything that you need. I know you're not going to enjoy the video, but I guess this is where we sign off.
Yeah.
And feel free to ask me any questions that you may have, if there's any areas or anything that I can answer. And all the best and good luck to you both.